It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in. Nice to have you aboard on this Tuesday. Memphis and Golden State, well, it wasn't exactly what we had expected, but my goodness, the Grizz, they got to be the deepest team in the NBA. No Jaren Jackson, once again. No Ja. You're not going to get Ja Morant for a while. And 43 points in the second quarter this time, and that was the distance they needed, and the Grizz ended up winning by 28 points. Wow. We'll get into that in a second. It was also a day for retirements. Oh, yeah. Some surprise notices, I thought. Well, you knew it was inevitable. Sooner or later, Fred Smith, who I believe is now 77 years old, was going to relinquish his position as the number one man in his company, FedEx. He remains as the executive chairman. You know he's going to be around. But Fred Smith, a well-deserved retirement. I cannot think of where the city of Memphis would be had he not moved FedEx from Little Rock to Memphis in the 70s. Where would this city be without that move? And so, Fred Smith, congratulations on an unbelievable career. Also, a legend, but he's not leaving. It's curious, the announcement. We'll ask him tomorrow when he's on with us in his usual time spot at about 10:45. Jarvis Greer will retire from television January. Is it December 31st or January 31st? I can't remember which. He'll let us know tomorrow. He's retiring this winter after the football season. He is not retiring from the Tiger broadcast because there were a lot of people who thought he said, well, I'm doing one more football season and that's it. He meant on TV. Just in case there's any confusion, he's not leaving the radio broadcast. So we're happy that Jarvo is going to be able to relax just a little bit. A sad note, a guy that I don't know how many games I did with him. It was a long time ago. But Tom Hewitt, who is really a Pittsburgher, but has adopted Memphis as sort of his semi-hometown. Guy who loves Penn State, by the way. Tom is the producer-director of the Grizz games. He began in the 80s, late 80s, with me on a bunch of Tiger broadcasts. Tom Hewitt's dad passed away. I'm sure it was a life well lived, and I'm not certain of his age, but knowing that Tom is near my age, his father lived a long, long time, and our thoughts and our prayers are with the Hewitt family. Back to the Grizz for just a second. So, this is amazing to me. J-Mo, when the Grizz score 120 points or more, what's their record?
I mean, 3 losses at most. I don't know. 3 losses.
No.
More or less?
Zippo would be the right number.
0 losses.
How many wins, though? Because this is a lot of games that they scored over 120.
How about 38?
28.
28.
28-0. When they hold the opposition like they did last night, they held Golden State to 95 points. Now, there's no Curry, there's no Green, there's no Klay Thompson. Oh, and by the way, Steve Kerr got tossed at halftime. I mean, I think he wanted to. I mean, he knew the game was out of hand already after the 43-point second quarter. I don't think he wanted to be a part of it anymore.
Just go relax.
So he did. He got himself tossed at halftime. You don't see that very often. So there was no Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or Draymond Green or Steve Kerr. Mike Brown did a good job, I guess, although they never really recovered from that second quarter. But they only scored 95. What is the Grizzlies' record, J-Mo? I know I get you on these things. What is their record when they hold the opposition under 100 points?
Have they lost a game?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to say 33-0.
No, they haven't held that many people under 100. This is the NBA.
Yeah, well, you never know, Dave. You know, it's a stout defensive
But you're a stat guy.
Yeah, that's right.
17-0. 17-0. I ain't Score 120 or hold the team under 100, you're going to win every time. If you're a Grizz, that is amazing, really. D'Anthony Melton. He was, again, brilliant. He's known as a three-point shooter, but what did he get? What did he do last night that really turned on the crowd? He played Ja Morant. He had this unbelievable dunk over Kevin Looney. If you don't know who Kevin Looney is, he's 6 feet 9 inches tall. Wow. That really got the crowd going. That was in that crazy second quarter. It was a thing of beauty. J-Mo, do you know in the last 7 games how many threes Desmond Bain and D'Anthony Melton have hit?
Last 7 games.
Yes.
Let's say 70.
No, that's a good guess, a little too generous. 59.
Still pretty good.
59.
Still really good.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know what it is. Seriously, I don't know if Tyus Jones sets the Grizz up better for threes. I mean, I know it's a crazy thing, and believe me, I want Ja to play every game. I know this is crazy. What are they now? 19-2 when he's not playing?
18-2, 19-2, one of those
it's just crazy. It makes no sense.
Wild.
But and I think it was Eli who was bringing up their percentages or rankings in the NBA. When Tyus Jones plays, they are one of the top three-point shooting teams in the league. When Ja starts, they're at the bottom end of the NBA in three-point shooting. I mean, that's the only correlation I can see. We all know you want to have Ja in the game. He's the best player on the floor most nights that he's playing, and that includes the opposition.
You know what? It might be, though, that Ja doesn't really have a place in their breakdown offense. He kind of plays his own way. And when he's not playing, they have no choice but to run breakdown offense for the entire possession, every possession. Maybe just have more opportunities to trying to explain it. I'm not sure, but that's the only explanation I can think of.
Well, some of it could also be this. Have you been watching this thing on HBO? Winning Time?
Love it.
Yeah. So when Jack McCann came in to be their first coach, he wanted to run this new upscale system, which he may be the architect. And, I don't like some of this stuff because I don't think it's very accurate totally. And so they credit McCann for Jack Ramsey's Portland Trailblazers, which, by the way, had Lionel Hollins and Bill Walton, Davey Twardzik, Marcus, what was his name? The big guy, Lucas. I'll think about it in a second. Steele was on that thing. It was a great team. It's one of the best teams I've ever watched play team ball. So they are crediting McCann with that. But basically, he was an innovator to the way the game is played now, where it's positionless. You keep moving all the time. You don't necessarily go to a spot. You go to an open place that you see on the floor, and the ball keeps moving. And so he's going to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's saying to Kareem, hey, man, they just sit and watch when you get the ball. We don't want that. Give the ball up. I mean, obviously, Jabbar did not like it. And by the way, I like this series, but they make these characters ridiculous. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was not that way, the way they paint him. I don't think Magic is totally the way they paint him. It's almost farcical, but it is fun to watch. John C. Reilly is terrific as Jerry Buss. But anyway, I digress. I think that could be a part of it, J-Mo, that when Ja's got the ball, they all go, okay, what's he going to do now? And they stand and they watch. And that's not setting up the offense for the threes.
But it's also, you got to let Ja Morant play his game as well. It's honestly, it's the issue I had when they drafted him is trying to decide, and I think this is the issue that a lot of teams have. Like the Mavericks, for instance, this year, run a lot less offense than they did with Rick Carlisle.
Sure.
What do you do when you have Luka Doncic? You got to just let him play sometimes. You know what he's supposed to do? I think the same thing can be said for Ja Morant. It's the balance of, okay, do I want to be really basketball schematic heavy, or do I let these greatest players ever live do what they do?
Well, I'm of the opinion now, as you look at it, and guys who really come through, like, honestly, Brett Norsworthy and I used to make fun of John Conchar, which was totally wrong. And The guy is good.
He's really good.
So you look at this. Can you name? And I asked this, and I don't know the answer, but I am convinced now that the Grizzlies are the deepest team in the NBA. I don't think there's a team that may be deeper. Are the Boston Celtics the hottest team? Are they deeper? We see that Golden State isn't because they're out key players and they got trounced by 28.
I think the only team. Yeah, I mean, you have a really good point with the Grizzlies. Off the top of my head, I think of the Heat. I think the Heat are really deep. They have a lot of guys that I still think people haven't heard of, a lot of foreign guys. Yurtsevin, for instance, is a really good player. They have a lot of, but the Grizzlies, for the Western Conference, certainly, I think the Grizzlies, for my money, are the deepest team in the West.
You go through it, and honestly, if something were to happen to Adams, which you'd hate, right? You can fill the void. Either Brandon Clark moves in, or you play Triple J at more of a 5, or you know what? Tillman isn't a bad player
at all, and hasn't even gotten minutes in a month or two.
I know,
and he is so good. And early in the year was contributing so much. You're absolutely right. They have a really deep roster, guys.
I don't think there's a better backup point guard in the league than Tyus Jones.
No, you'd be hard to find one.
And then it's so tough. You did all this without Dillon Brooks. Look what he did last night. He had 15 points in the second quarter. And you know what else he did last night that really impressed me?
What's that?
And why I love Dillon Brooks? Remember how you were bragging just a week ago about Jordan Poole and how incredible he was playing? He got incredibly frustrated last night. You know why? Because Dillon Brooks put the D on the dude.
It's a different level. A lot of times that's a great point you bring up. That's the difference in being a player who's playing well in the NBA and a perennial star is defense like that on any given night. And you saw it last night how much Dillon Brooks is able to frustrate a player like Jordan Poole, who probably doesn't get guarded like that ever before last night.
All right, and one last thing on the Grizzlies that I think is cool. I don't know if you've seen this. Twitter had a 1:10 video of it. Do you remember several weeks ago, a month ago, I can't remember exactly when, Golden State was here, and there was a guy beneath the bucket, 3 kids, that one of them held out his hand, but he was wearing a Golden State jersey, and Ja snubbed him.
Prompted the whole jersey swapping.
Ja took like a little heat on that, and Ja said, "Hey, I'll buy him jerseys. If they're coming to our games and they're Memphis, they got to wear Grizzlies jerseys." I love Ja for that. I know they're kids. You never do that at the kids, right? So what did Ja do last night? Brings out a bag, and these kids are sitting, close to the Grizzlies bench, I think. I believe that was the location. If I'm wrong, somebody tell me on the AutoZone text line, 901-360-8255. He brings out this bag. It's got 3 jerseys. They already had 3 Grizzlies balls, and he comes out and he gives each kid a jersey, a Ja Morant Grizzlies jersey, and he signs all 3 balls.
He was waiting for him.
That's incredible.
Awesome.
I mean, that is so smart of him, too. You take a negative and you make it a positive, and that's what he did. And you know what? I don't blame his point. I know they're kids, but you're here, you're Memphis, you're rooting for the other team. That doesn't happen. You got to be a Grizzlies fan.
Put on some blue.
And then he lived up to his word. He brought them jerseys. Those guys will be Ja Morant and Grizzlies fans for the rest of their lives now. There's no question about that.
No doubt.
That was a beautiful thing. So the Grizzlies are now 30 games over 500. Now, I'm going to ask you a tough question here. As Brett would say, this is a hard one for you. As I've sort of made up my mind. The Grizzlies are 53-23. They have 6 games remaining. In order to break the franchise record, they have to win 4 or 6. Well, they're actually over that pace. So by analytics, you'd say, they're going to do it. But here's the schedule. They play at San Antonio next game.
Fighting for a spot.
And they're fighting for a play-in spot. They could eliminate any possible postseason potential of the LA Lakers. So the Spurs are very motivated, and it's in their ballpark, and there's still no Ja Morant. We're not going to see Ja till the playoffs. So that's a tough game. Then they play on Friday at home. I'm sure it'll be a sellout against the Phoenix Suns. Now, the Phoenix has nothing to play for. They've already got the number 1 seed all locked up, but it's the Phoenix Suns, right? Okay. And, that's another question that pops in my head. Like last night, the top 2 Memphis players and the top 3 Golden State players didn't play. And they're not playing because they're resting them for the playoffs, even though there were 7 games left in the regular season. This is the one thing that troubles me with the NBA, and I see the logic behind it. But do they lower the prices, or are you still paying for lower bowl, $125, $150? They don't lower the price when the stars don't show.
A beer still cost $8 last night.
Yeah, exactly. So they play Phoenix. Then they have to go to Utah. Always a tough place to play with altitude, and who knows where their heads are with that. Then they got to play at Denver. And, I think Denver is getting healthy. They're trying to get their guys together. I think they're going to try to win that game. That's just my hunch. Then they play the Pelicans, and that is a team also involved in play-in possibilities and in a good position now. They kind of need to win that game. And then they end it with the hottest team in Memphis against Boston. What a game that'll be, the Celtics. That'll be a sellout too. But there's not going to be Ja. So my question to you, and then I'll give you the answer. The Grizzlies need 4 out of the next 6. Those are the 6 games. Do they make it?
I think they make it. They've shown no indication that they wouldn't make it at this point. I can't bet against them. I think they make it. I'm assuming you think they make it as well?
I do not think they will make it.
Really? You don't think so?
No. I think the Spurs really need that game, and Memphis doesn't. I don't know about the Suns game, but they're really good. They're the best team in the West.
And you never know what the Grizzlies will do in that situation, too. Do they rest guys so that you don't get their playoff strategy too early?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you got to play at Utah and at Denver. Most of those teams are settled into their positions. Golden State actually could slip to all the way down to 4th.
Everyone's so close, too. But, another factor here is the Suns have won 9 of their last 10, 8 in a row, and the Grizzlies have won 5 in a row, 9 of their last 10.
They were doing that without Chris Paul.
Chris Paul.
But Chris Paul's back now. And Chris Paul may be, wanting to play a little bit to get his feet under him so he's ready for the playoffs. I don't know. All I can tell you is win 4 out of those 6 at this time of the year when you're not sure who you're playing, and the Spurs are really motivated. The Pelicans could be really motivated. You got to play the hottest team in the league at the end, the Boston Celtics. I mean, I just think, I don't think they'll be below 500. I think they'll go 3-3, but I don't see them going 4-2 to break the franchise record with that schedule.
Tough stretch.
Tough, cool, fun kind of stretch. We got baseball to talk about, and Albert Pujols, we mentioned at the end of the show yesterday that he became a Cardinal again. That was kind of cool. We'll talk with Tim Doolin about that. We got a Final Four. We've got a Final Four, and Mike DeCourcy will be in New Orleans for the Final Four. The Hall of Famer from the Sporting News will talk all about that. Speaking of which, I don't know if you know this, Stanford, UConn, Louisville, South Carolina. That's your women's Final Four. 3 number 1 seeds and 1 number 2 seed. Here's my only gripe. I love it. They are the quality of women's basketball has gone way up the last few years. And now they're getting more exposure than ever. So I believe that sport will gain even more notoriety, which means more young people will play it. It'll only get better and better and better. Here's what they got to get away from. I do not like at all the home court advantages that the top seeds get. They're on their own campuses. Tennessee, for instance, played at home. UConn has played every game so far in this tournament close to home. They played on their campus for the first 2 games. Then they played in Bridgeport, Connecticut, And they keep putting it there because they know they're going to draw people. It's all about money, but it's an unfair advantage for UConn. And what a classic game last night, a double overtime win over North Carolina State that probably blew the game in regulation. And they got that kid, Euchre's, man, she's unbelievable. She had 14 or 15 in the overtimes.
She's really turned it on here late as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little tiny girl, and she just takes over a game. She's the best player in college basketball right now, only a sophomore, and I mean little, but she's tough. She's tough. But they need to legitimize this tournament. If they're demanding of the media attention that they're getting, and they're saying, if you show us, people will love it, okay, I agree with that. And I think the more the exposure, the better it'll be, because more young girls will play the sport. But you've got to get rid of this home court stuff because it's much too much of an advantage for the home team, especially in the first two rounds. All right, as I said, we're busy. We got Tim Doolin coming up here just a second, and we've got Mike DeCourcy coming your way about 10:42. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Just a reminder, they're looking for people. If you're self-motivated, you're goal-oriented, what a family it would be to join Family Leisure. Positions include sales for swimming pools, hot tub, patio furniture. If you understand chemicals, they have a sales associate, a job open there. Parts and service, they got stuff there. Service technician, got to have a valid driver's license. Cashiers are needed. They're going to add to their crews for above-ground pool installation. Here's your chance for a new path and good pay. Just go to 2120 Whitten Road. That's I-40 and Whitten Road, or memphis@familyleisure.com if you want to email them or call them at 371-9090. Really go over and just chat, and you'll find maybe a new path in your career. Family Leisure. We take a quick break. We are back in just a minute. Baseball with Tim Doolin is right around the corner.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world at sports56whbq.com or on the Sports 56 app.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer for the Sunrise Truck Corral. Gonna buy a truck? Sunrise has new trucks, used trucks, big trucks, little trucks, custom trucks, factory trucks, long bed trucks, short bed trucks, regular cab trucks, extended cab trucks, crew cab trucks, 4-cylinder trucks, 6-cylinder trucks, 8-cylinder trucks, 2-wheel drive trucks, 4-wheel drive trucks, all-wheel drive trucks, GMC trucks, Chevy trucks, Ford trucks, Dodge trucks, diesel trucks, SUVs, light-duty trucks, heavy-duty trucks, trucks for rich folks, trucks for poor folks, trucks for young folks, trucks for old folks. Want a truck? Go online to the Sunrise Truck Corral, the old Hummer building in Bartlett.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
Hi, everybody. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving new customers a $150 instant bonus guaranteed. That's right. You'll get $150 in bonus site credit, and all you have to do is place your first bet of $5 or more. How you bet the bracket is up to you. You can choose from the money line, totals, prop bets, and so much more. Join FanDuel today with promo code GASMAN. Then you can place your $5 bet to score $150 in bonus site credit, guaranteed. That's promo code GASMAN on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
I have so many people tell me they hear my ads on this station and that they want to know if I'm really as bad a golfer as everyone says. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, and yes, I hate to say I am. I wish I were in my 90s because I could then tell people I shoot my age. But being a bad golfer is not terrible because I devote so much of my time to selling homes to keep my clients happy. Over the many years in the real estate business, I developed a highly successful strategic marketing program, not merely a listing program. Using preparation, presentation, and proper pricing, it works. If you're thinking of selling, talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out why people often say that when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. That's Shell Dunn Rosengarten, 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now. Shell Dunn, 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Our title sponsor is Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi and Highway 78, Lamar in Memphis. So proud to have them as our title sponsor, and they have been for many, many years, and I really enjoy the company and the guidance that you'll get from Chris True if you go talk with him. He's their GM, and he has this pledge to you. Even in this shortage, you never pay more than sticker price for any new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. They've raised the bar. It's the way car business should be done at Homer. And this portion of the show brought to you by Old Dominick. That is Memphis's hometown distillery. They love the Tigers. They love the Grizz. They often say share a sip responsibly, and their products are now all over town. You can go and buy them at the distillery, obviously, 305 South Front Street, and go try them out in their bar. They have this elegant but not stuffy bar that you will really appreciate all of the portfolio of Old Dominick spirits. But you can buy them all over town, like you'll see my friend Eddie Connor at the Spirit Shop. He's got Old Dominick product. It is the best, whether it's that brand new bourbon that's about to come out that their master distiller, Alex Castle, is just waiting for the right moment, or any of the other hometown spirits. You'll love Old Dominick. Tim Doolin joins us now. You were the first one to say you thought it would get done, then you sort of hesitated, but yesterday it all came into being. Albert Pujols will spend his last year as a St. Louis Cardinal. Seems fitting to me. Good morning.
Good morning. I think it is fitting. Obviously, they worked on it for a while, trying to get it done. I think Albert's heart's always been in St. Louis. Obviously, he had to take the big contract with the Angels, and he's still got a very big presence there. His foundation, AP5, is based out of St. Louis, and anyway, I think it's just going to be a great end of the career a great career, and the relationship that he and Yachty have, I think it's going to be good. I do think that. Some people are going to say, oh, they're paying him too much or whatever. I'm sure it's going to work out really good for the Cardinals as well. I'm sure they'll sell a lot of merchandise that will help curb some of that cost. And I do think he's going to help them. I think he's going to help them, obviously, as a DH and obviously as a pinch hitter off the bench.
So, too much money. $2.5 million in this day and age is not that much money. It's basically about 10% of what he's made the last 10 years. So, he wanted to come back to St. Louis. Do you think that's where, when he retires, he'll end up staying there?
He loves LA now. I mean, and he's got a really nice setup out there, a really nice house, and I think he'll do like a lot of guys do. He'll stay in LA. It's certain parts of the year when it's warmer and obviously miserably cold in St. Louis. But I do think he's gonna make some roots in St. Louis, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets involved, whether as a consultant or a special assistant to the GM or whatever. There's just too much to offer from a very genuine guy, and he's been that guy his entire career. So there's a lot to say about that.
All right, so he'll be a pinch hitter against lefties, or a DH against lefties. He'll come in, maybe situationally, maybe not even, in critical moments as a pinch hitter in late inning situations. So he's going to get plenty of at-bats, I'm guessing. My question for you, it's a tough one. He needs 21 home runs to become. Not many have made it to 700 home runs. Will he get it? Will he surpass 700?
That's what's interesting. I think it's going to be, it's going to be right on that line. I think, obviously he's got to stay healthy and he's got to put up some numbers. I don't think the Cardinals are just going to keep running him out there to break that record. They're going to be in the hunt as they have in just about the last, several years. They're going to be in the hunt of winning that division, and it's about winning, and Albert's about winning. So hopefully he does it. I think it would be a great story.
Well, he's already a Hall of Famer no matter what happens, but it would be nice.
No question.
It would be nice if he got to 700 and did it in the St. Louis uniform. That is for sure. This past week, let's go to college baseball quickly. Ole Miss started the week at number 1. I think they went to number 10. They got swept at home by Tennessee. Did Ole Miss get exposed, or is Tennessee just that good?
Probably a combination of both. I think that Tennessee is that good. I mean, Tony Vitello has done an unbelievable job in a very short period of time. Here's a guy that, is really, put the time in as throughout the college scene as an assistant, a recruiting coordinator. He did a great job as a recruiting coordinator at Arkansas before he came to Tennessee, and has continued that. He's got a great staff. Frank Anderson, who's his pitching coach, is probably one of the top 2 or 3 pitching guys in the country. Older guy, he actually coached me on the USA team in '84, and they've done a really good job, Wolo, of recruiting big time talent out of high school. He's done a great job in the portal of identifying guys that either were at a mid-major that just blew up and turned out to be a guy, and then they get those guys in a transfer. They've gotten a couple fifth-year seniors, and then they've been able to get some predominantly first and second round talent out of high school and convince those guys, much like Corbin has done at Vanderbilt over the years, of coming to school. And so Tennessee is that good. They pitch it really well. They've got a closer that's up to 101. They've got great defense and timely hitting, and they've got power and guys that can spray it all over the field. This year, ironically enough, they've got a kid from this market a couple of kids, Kyle Booker, who's been hurt from DeSoto Central, and then also a kid that played with me, Evan Russell, who is going on his, I guess, 4th or 5th year just because of COVID. But this kid's going to end up having the second most games played of anybody in Tennessee history, and has played about 4 different positions for him out of Lexington, Tennessee. And he's catching this year. So they've done a really good job. I think Ole Miss has got a very solid team. They just don't have the depth and starting pitching and the relief pitching that teams like Tennessee do. So they got exposed a little bit.
You just said something that was really interesting to me, because Tennessee has done this very quickly. You mentioned the transfer portal, which I think, because there's so few scholarships in baseball, can become really pivotal. Because you may be getting out and get a scholarship or even some NIL money somewhere else. And, Tennessee's facilities, I know they're good, but they're not the best in the SEC. They're far from it. They're trying to build a new stadium, from what I understand. So this guy got it done quickly. It seems to me that would give hope to Memphis fans who are about to see a change at the top. Rock is going to retire at the end of this year. With this transfer portal, can you turn it around quickly if you're a Memphis, even with the facilities they have?
Well, I definitely think you can. Obviously, we've had great talent in this market for years, and it's all going to be about getting the right guy. And I know that the administration is made a commitment to going out and finding the right guy. And I think if you go out and do that, you got to get first and foremost a really, really good recruiter. He's got to be able to develop talent, because you got to be able to convince those types of players that if you come here, we're going to develop you and give you an opportunity to further your career at the professional level. So, yeah, there's no question it can be done, because there are kids right now that are at Power 5 schools, SEC schools, that might have not been ready for that SEC school, and they're sitting on the bench. And the good schools they've got names on a board of kids that got away, so to speak, that you didn't get, even though you knew he was a fit for you. You didn't get him because he was enamored by the SEC, and now he's realizing that, scouts don't see guys that are sitting in the dugout. They got to be on the field.
Right.
So you just got to identify those guys, and just then you got to put together a roster where you can build, some team chemistry and culture, and I think those types of coaches are out there, and I think Memphis would be an attractive job, even though it's not, it's not the SEC, but you look at the likes of East Carolina and what Dan McDonnell did when he went to Louisville years ago. It was much like Memphis. It was a mid-major school and a not a great setting from a stadium's perspective. And Dan McDonnell's been to the College World Series, I think, 3 times since he's been there. So can it be done? Yeah, I think it can be done and be done in a fairly quick fashion if they get the right guy.
I'm thinking, too, with the way kids transfer now, that if you're the middle week pitcher and not the weekend pitcher for the big games where you will be seen by more people, and if you're a competitor and you want to play in those big games, that that opens the door for more of that talent to want to try to get to the spotlight.
No, it does, and not to argue that point, but here's what's tough is if you're that guy, say at an SEC school, and you're getting a chance to pitch midweek, then you're probably going to stay because they can convince you that you got a chance to be a weekend guy. The guy that's going to leave is going to be a mid-major guy that's a fifth-year guy that wants another year. He feels like this coach can develop him and get him an opportunity to play at the next level, or kids that are young, that are at a big school that have realized that they're getting lost in the shuffle and that and they don't have time for another do-over year. They got to go somewhere where they know that they're going to be, a really good chance of being a guy, whether it's a Friday or Saturday night starter, or whether it's a position player that has a chance to get on the field immediately when he comes.
All right, last thing, Tigers in Mississippi State tonight at AutoZone Park. And Mississippi State is not the same team they were a year ago. That's pretty obvious. They just slipped out of the top 25. What happens tonight?
Well, I think Mississippi State's probably favored for sure. I think it's going to come down to, and I don't know how much depth of pitching Memphis has, and they got to get ready for a big weekend series against Tulane. Right. I think they have Ole Miss tomorrow night. So Mississippi State is really, and a lot of schools have been hurt with the injury bug. Mississippi State's lost 3 of their top arms. They lost their Friday night starter 2 or 3 weeks ago to Tommy John. That was Landon Sims, who was really the catalyst last year as their closer that helped them get to Omaha and win the College World Series. So they've been hit with an injury bug, and they've got some young players. So I think it'll be an exciting game. Obviously, the weather's going to be great. AutoZone Park's, if not the best, one of the best in the country, and as far as minor league goes. So it'll be a good setting. I'm sure we'll see some runs being scored for sure.
Going to be fun, that's for sure. Tim, thank you much. We'll talk a little more Major League Baseball next week.
All right, Wolo, thanks.
That is our man on baseball. That is Tim Doolin. He's brought to you by Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, the famous 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up. That's only $69. I always recommend you do it twice. You do it in the winter where they do a safety inspection and make sure there's no leaks. They have a camera that actually goes into the system, and then they tune you up. Now, in the spring, like right now, you want it done to make sure your air conditioning unit will keep your house cool and efficient. And by the way, if you get 2 of these tune-ups per year, your system's going to last years longer than it would if you don't. It's $69. And by the way, in the spring tune-up, they make sure there's enough Freon that will make your system efficient. All you got to do is call 384-3511. That's Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the famous tune-up. We take a break. When we come back, we head to Indy. I think that's where Mike DeCourcy is. He could be in New Orleans for all I know at this point. He comes your way on the Final Four in just a minute.
The all-new Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Brought to you by Action 24/7, James Gaddis Jewelers, and Acura of Memphis. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm with the expert. Yeah, that's right, expert. Kyle Storms here with Big Green Egg. Kyle, what can you cook on a Big Green Egg?
Almost anything. You can smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill. Some of the best barbecue, desserts, and pizzas I've ever eaten have been cooked on a Big Green Egg.
I have to be honest. The last grill I had fell apart on me. I had to throw it away. What kind of warranty comes with a Big Green Egg?
This will truly be the last grill you have to buy. Big Green Egg has had a lifetime warranty on all ceramic parts of the egg since 1995. I talk to customers all the time that have had their eggs for 10, 20, 30 plus years. You can't say that about most grills.
How long has the Big Green Egg been around?
Big Green Egg was founded in 1974 by naval engineer Ed Fisher and has never changed ownership. Ed found out that no matter what you throw on an egg, it just comes out better. And now more and more people find out every year.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Get in the game, Mid-South. Coach Colin
and Coach Hunter here from DeSoto Auto Sales.
We're maniacs for all this madness.
But if we're going to catch all these games, we need your help.
So we cooked up a 3-point plan to help you
rebound from your old ride.
1.
Pick any nicer, newer car on the lot.
2.
Pass us your old ride.
3.
Will come in with the assist.
And give you up to $3,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value.
Based on the price of the car you pick.
So if your old rod makes you feel second string,
it's time for a rebound.
Because you could get up to $3,000 more than it's worth.
Worried about fouls on your credit report?
Our For the People credit approval process is a slam dunk.
But hurry.
This deal's done at the buzzer.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Hunter, and we're your dealers.
For the people. See all the cars at DeSotoAutoSales.com.
That's DeSotoAutoSales.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Vehicle purchase price determines actual trade allowance. Negative equity may be refinanced. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of the Kelley Blue Book Company Incorporated, which is not affiliated with DeSoto Auto Sales. Offer absolutely ends March 31st, 2022.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I mentioned a little earlier about the women's Final Four, and you remember yesterday I told you, J-Mo, that was 28 straight Sweet 16s for Gino Auriemma, which is pretty amazing. How about this? We're going to talk to Mike DeCourcy about Duke and all the Final Fours they've had with Coach K and his 101 wins, which is amazing. But 14 straight Final Fours for UConn and Gino Auriemma. That's mind-blowing. That is for sure. Even with all those built-in home court advantages and everything, that's still 14 straight Final Fours. It's unreal. This portion of the show, as we get set for Mike, is brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Company. The Eflin Insurance team has a little different approach. It's called collaborative. What it is that Matt's going to sit you down and get to know you. He'll get to know your family, your needs, what you think will be important to you in the future, and then he'll find the right companies with your budget to protect you, home, auto, or life insurance. And if you've got a mid to small size business, same strategy. How do you forecast it out? What do you really need protected? He's got access to virtually unlimited programs that will protect your small to mid-sized businesses. All you got to do is call, and he's a big Tiger guy, by the way. In his phone number, he's got GER, which is 4777. That's 901-386-4777. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. Get protected in the collaborative way. I guess he's still in Indy. I don't think he's in New Orleans yet. Mike DeCourcy, good morning. Where are you?
I am still in Indianapolis. I was in San Francisco until yesterday morning, so get a little bit of time at home, not much.
Yeah.
And then head off to New Orleans.
Well, that's a tough thing, to have to stay in San Francisco. Did you go
Yeah,
to...
but you know, Dave. I mean, San Francisco means it's the inside of a hotel room that's 3,000 miles away.
Well, that's true. But there's some good things. Did you go to, for instance, I think it's called The Laundry. It is one of the most expensive but incredible restaurants in America.
Here's what I did for food.
Okay.
Ordered Chipotle through the app.
Oh, God. Please don't tell me you did that.
I'm
Michael.
telling you. I am not kidding. This is business. I was with the exception of the time in my Uber to the arena or my Uber back, I was in my hotel room watching basketball and eventually soccer the entire time I was in San Francisco. So, the Final Four is a little different because there's a lot more time and there aren't any games going on other than the ones on Saturday and Monday. But, the best regional for me would be next door because I'm just going to be inside the whole time anyway.
Since you bring it up, let me make a quick plug here. You mentioned watching soccer. Of course, men's national team pretty much into the World Cup qualifying. We will have Matt O'Sullivan on tomorrow at 10:25 to talk. All they got to do is beat or not lose to Costa Rica by more than 5 goals, and they are in the World Cup. All right, you've re-ranked these Final Four teams, and I was a bit surprised. You've got Duke 1, Kansas 2, North Carolina 3, and Villanova, who lost their terrific player Justin Moore to an ACL. You've got them ranked 4th. I don't know if the injury was a big part of that, but give us your rationale for these new rankings.
Yeah, I think, first of all, that talent is a big thing when you try to win a championship in the NCAA. I always kind of chuckle silently to myself when people put their brackets out and they pick some team that has 0 first-round picks on it as their champion because they were good college teams and they had great college years. And I'm like, yeah, but they're not winning this thing because they don't have any pros, because that's what ends up deciding this. You have to have them. Now, it doesn't mean because you have them, you're going to win it. But if you don't have them, it means you won't. But if you have 5 of them in a field where 2's a lot for everybody else, that gives you a huge advantage. And that's why Duke is number 1. They have 5 guys who will likely be first-round picks, most likely this June, but maybe 1 or 2 of them hangs around. But they'll be likely first-round picks, and that makes a big difference. And right now they're engaged and they're being aggressively coached. There aren't little things getting past Mike Krzyzewski. Not that they ever did, but he makes sure that if something's going a little wrong, they're adjusting fast because there aren't any more lessons to be taught. To an extent, there are just games to be won. These are the last several he'll ever have. And so he wants to put everything into them. And so that's why against Texas Tech on Thursday night, really to the surprise of everyone assembled, he switched to his own defense fairly early in that game, the early second half. And I don't think that anybody anticipated that being something that they would do as eagerly as they did. And then they used it again some in Saturday's game when they played Arkansas. They used it as well.
Do you think there is that's part of the influence of Jim Boeheim, who coached with him on the Olympic team?
I think a little, yeah. I think he maybe went from being one of those complete agnostics to understanding it has a place. And I think that I've always believed that I've always used this analogy, Dave, and you'll appreciate this. I've played a few rounds with you. If you're a golfer, you don't go onto the course saying, I'm a man, or I'm too masculine, or I'm too tough, or whatever, to take a sand wedge out there. You might hit it in the bunker. Right. And if you do, you want the best tool to get it out. And I've never understood coaches who refuse to even consider it, to have it as part of their golf bag. Now, it may be one of 14 clubs, but it's a club, and I think that's smart.
I agree.
Because
100%.
the ball sometimes goes downhill, and if Duke had done that against Carolina in the Cameron game the last night, maybe they don't lose, and maybe they're not having to play Carolina again. Maybe the Tar Heels are a 12 seed or whatever and struggling to get through. Who knows? It certainly that night changed the fortunes for both of those teams, and I think to an extent that one of the things that convinced Mike that was something he had to consider with this group was the fact that ball was rolling downhill like it was at the top of Mount Everest, and it was just getting more snow as it went.
Yeah, I never understood the macho thing, and that goes back to John Calipari, who I think has changed slightly. But I don't know why you wouldn't have every strategy prepared for. I just never got it. And he thought it's man-to-man, and I got the better guys, so I'm just going to do that. When you get foul trouble, you have injuries, whatever it may be, it's smart to have a different way to approach it, in my estimation. So you don't take into account that Cameron deal when you look at that matchup with North Carolina, who, by the way, is playing so beautifully between their guard play. I mean, I've just been so impressed with, and the kid in the middle, they've been outstanding.
They've been really good, but don't forget, when they played UCLA on Friday night, they had to have Caleb Love go out there and throw in 30 from 30. To get that game. And so they're still beatable as they are now. And you look at the Elite Eight game. What I will say about what they did in the Elite Eight that the three previous teams to them did not do was say, this is the 15 seed, people. We got to go out and get this done early.
Right.
You give them encouragement and they'll take it. They're a tough bunch. We know that now. They're not, if you give it to them, they're taking it. And so Carolina said, first 5 minutes they are going down, and we're keeping them down. But those first 5 minutes are the game, and that's where Purdue failed in particular. Maybe a little less so Kentucky, because they went into it. You don't know that they're how good they are, and you're kind of thinking you're a two in there. But by then they had already won 2 games, and Purdue should have gone into that game fully invested in the first 5 to 7 minutes are the game. We win those, we win. And that's what Carolina did. And from then on, they went up 9-0, and there was no way St. Peter's was going to beat them.
No, because the second half was even. It was like 31-30.
Yeah. Yeah, because by that time, Carolina was just, making sure that they didn't lose by 5 goals.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That'll be fun to watch how the United States plays that game tomorrow. That is for sure. All right, and Kansas is your number 2. Hard to argue that. I mean, those 2 guards, Martin, who was the Pac-12 Player of the Year last year, comes over. I mean, when he's on, and I mean they. But
you think Penny had his moments this year? Trying to make sure that everything was going in the same direction. Throw Remy Martin into the mix. See how that would have gone.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
He is a handful. He is one of those players who knows he can score and thinks of that first, second, third, and then maybe fourth as an option. There's another 4 guys out here. And they've really struggled with that for a lot of this year. And then he got hurt. And by the time he got hurt, I think there was a feeling of, man, you know what, we can get by without. And ultimately there was a mutual understanding that, hey, Remy wants to play. And if he wants to play and he plays right, he really helps them, because it's really hard to stay in front of him. And he's got a great touch once he gets going. And so there's that added element of danger when he's in the game. And they didn't have that during February, and they still won the league, but it was always a chore, because making baskets with their current group, they have really good players at the 2, 3, and 4 positions. Abaji and Christian Brown and Jalen Wilson are excellent players, but keeping getting the ball to them was not easy. And now when you have that threat at the point guard people have to pay attention to him, and that empowers the other three.
Mike, we are out of time. I could talk all day with you. You know that. And I didn't get to the IARP today, so maybe we'll get to that next week.
Oh, we'll have time.
Oh, yeah. We will. We will. Thank you, Mike. Enjoy New Orleans, or enjoy the hotel anyway. And
well, no, this time I'm going to actually maybe see the city. We'll see.
Ah, good, because there's so many good restaurants there. I'd hate to see you not to put down Chipotle, but my gosh. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Dave.
That is Mike DeCourcy, our Hall of Famer. From the Sporting News, he's brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. He's a Hall of Famer, too. He's been around forever. He and his dad, 50 years of building palaces or renovating places all over town. He understands the commitment you're making, and that's why he commits to you. He'll work closely with you, and you'll get exactly what you should expect. Quality construction, on time, on budget. Go to his website, kengarland.com. You'll get a sense what he's all about, and then call him, 751-1632. Fun to talk with, one of those rare guys, sees little detail, big picture, all at once. If you've got family land, you're ready to build, but you're not sure how to utilize the land, he knows. If you're looking for land, he's got it. He is full service all the way. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. That number again, 751-1632. We thank Mike DeCourcy, and we thank Tim Doolin. We'll be back again tomorrow. Johnny Radio comes your way in just a second. Stick around. Have a great day, everyone.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years.